So there's not going to be pills or any other petroleum-based medication or anything like that, right? So the reason you're watching this video is probably because you have an illness or disease, or sometimes an injury, or you want to prevent it because it runs in your family and there's too many cases of it coming in around you, right? So I start off by saying that because too many people rely heavily on that and don't realize that pills and medications stop the symptom most of the time. It doesn't stop the root cause of things, right? This is why things start compounding and spiraling out of control. You stop taking the medication and you're right back where you began, unless it's like antibiotic or something like that. But even then, you got to stop the root cause of the infection, right? So we're going to start with that. You need to fix the cause and the root, not just the symptom or the things that you're feeling. You need to stop what's internally happening or change the environment around you. So we're going to talk about that in this episode. My name is Makini. This is 3FTV, Faith, Fitness, and Finances, and today we'll be talking about that middle F, fitness, right? In regards to your health, especially with living with illnesses and disease, we're going to be talking about how to be efficient and how to optimize your health with your current state, how to live optimally and maximize your potential with what you're going through now or whatever thorns you have in your life, right? So before we get into that, I want to make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Please do so. It's going to help me be able to spread more messages like this and get more tips out, and turn on that notification bell. It's going to help you be notified when I post stuff like this first, so that you can start working on your health before later. The first thing you need to do is realize that your pills, your medications, things your doctors prescribe or whatever, these are, a lot of it is recommendations, some of them is prescriptions, but you have to realize that it is advice. And like with any advice, you need to be like a Beran, right? And you need to do your own research. You need to, step one, right? I'm gonna give 5 things. You need to, step one, take this into your own hands and know that this is your responsibility. That comes into 2 different forms, right? 2 different forms of responsibility. The first one is realizing that, yes, your doctor is a doctor, he's educated on this, but sometimes doctors make mistakes or they live in the past. I firsthand have worked with physical therapists. I have seen physical therapists, right, as exercise physiologists, that do old ways of physical therapy. When there's new research or there's new tools and machines that they can use now, and they're still doing things old, right? So with the new research, they can help someone in 3 weeks rather than 3 months, and they don't do it, but it's because this is what they know and this is what's proven. Sometimes doctors do get in that way. Fitness coaches get in that way. You might be in that way, right? What's proven in the past, you stick with it, not realizing that more research for a more proven result or method has come out, right? And you need to realize that sometimes they don't communicate. A doctor is not a god. He is a person. And sometimes persons do not know stuff and they don't communicate, right? If you think about this, right, I put it in my own example. Doctors don't know what another doctor is prescribing unless you tell them, right? Sometimes you might tell them what someone prescribed, but you're not telling them what you take, and they do not know that. They can't read your minds. They're not God, right? So this example is relevant to me because it happened to my mom. She went to the hospital, and the doctor just saw her paperwork and was like, oh, she's taking all these medications. None of these are in her system. Hey, give her all of these. And it actually overdosed her, right? And, luckily my dad came in and found it and helped it out, but that was a malpractice thing right there, right? And that happens all the time. I think they say like 10%, 20% of people die from malpractice, right? It happens more common than you think. It is your responsibility to do the research and to see, is this what I want to do or is this what I want to take? Doctors mainly know how to diagnose illnesses and what medications, right? They know when the body is off. They don't really know physiology like that or anatomy, right? Especially like, let's say you break your arm or something like that. They just know, give this, this, or that, do this, get this surgery. Or if you have something happen, get this surgery. They don't know what herbs to take, what foods to eat, or what exercises to do, none of that. They just know what they're taught. And usually it's surgery and medications and then how to diagnose things, right? So you have to realize you need multiple forms. Even if you do want to only go to a doctor and do that type of more Eastern or Western, whatever you want to do, right? Medications like surgery or more technological advanced stuff, almost had a tongue twister. You can switch doctors if you feel like they're not listening to you or you're just not making leeway. But even then, you want to have multiple people. You want to have a naturalist, a holistic doctor. You want to have a physical therapist. You want to have a personal trainer, a dietitian. And bounce around and then stick with the one that you feel like best fits you. You do this and you make sure that you get the most out of your results and you don't have any harmful things happening to you. So that's taking responsibility and realizing once you do that, you need to be like a Baran. The second part of taking responsibility is realizing that most of these illnesses that you have or you're facing probably came from actions you took or you didn't take. When you realize that, you start to change what you're doing now, right? Especially if it's something like high blood pressure or diabetes, right? Type 2 diabetes. Oftentimes it's dealing with our eating habits and our environments. So when you take responsibility for that, you can often change that environment or change those habits. I see it oftentimes as a cardiac rehab specialist. People will come in, right, or people have come in and they're doing for heart training or for strokes, and then they still come outside an oxygen tank and they're still smoking cigarettes. No habits have changed. They haven't taken responsibility and they haven't had the desire to change. But once you do that, you will make a lot of progress. So that is right there. Start off by realizing that the decisions you made now happen because of you, or the disease or illness happened because of you. Sometimes not so much, but most of the time it is. Once you do that, then you can start changing your habits and the environment that is making the illness worse or keeping you in that state. Right. The second thing is going to be water and fluids. You need to replace your water or your fluids, especially if it's soda or juice, with water. And you need hydration. Most of the people on this earth are walking around dehydrated, especially in America. When you can fix dehydration, you solve a lot of issues. Our blood is 90% water. Our brain is like 80% water. Our muscles are like 70% water. We as humans are like 75% water. We are water. So if you're dehydrated, you're losing who you are, and that's going to cause a lot of issues. Water is the #1 detox thing that you can do out there. It's none of these juices or teas. It is water. Water helps cleanse the liver, the kidneys, everything. It helps, you know, you have blood exchange that exchanges in your lungs in these different areas, brings oxygen in, takes oxygen out. Water helps facilitate that because your blood is 90% water, right? So the more that you have, the more toxins you're able to get rid and out of your body, the more chemicals, the more infection, like everything you can get out, right? So be hydrated. I know this because a lot of medications you take will say drink with water. So the more medications you have, the more water you have to drink. I've witnessed doctors telling people, oh, take this medication for high blood pressure, and not realize that if you just tell this person drink more water and stop drinking coffee, it would help. And you telling them to stop drinking coffee, they're not replacing that with water. So now they're ultimately getting rid of all the fluids and they're only drinking about 1 or 2 bottles of water a day, which is not enough. And you're prescribing medication for this, or that. That is telling them to drink with a glass of water. So now they have 8 medications that say drink with a glass of water, and they just take all 8 with 1 glass of water. That does not cut it. So you need to change your water. All right, third thing is food. A lot of the foods we eat are detrimental and really hurt our diseases, right? We think about all these illnesses like cancer and diabetes. A lot of these, or even arthritis, fibromyalgia, a lot of these are inflammation illnesses or illnesses that's caused by oxidation. If you start eating more antioxidant-rich foods or antioxidant-rich water and not drinking these acidic waters, this is why they say you change your diet from mainly meat to something more vegetarian, and you make a lot of progress. You start eating a more alkaline regimen, you make a lot of progress, because that is actually getting rid of the oxidation and getting rid of the acidity in your body, and it starts putting yourself in a more neutral or more homeostasis, right, type environment, and you start healing yourself from the inside out, right? This starts healing the cause of the issues, the inflammation, right? A lot of foods cause a lot of inflammation in our body, and we do not realize it. Even foods we think are healthy are causing a lot of issues in our body. So you need to be able to research the food you're eating and make choices. No, I am not saying that you need to be 100% spot on with your diet. You can't eat fast food ever again in life. You can't eat meat ever again in life. You can't eat dairy ever again in life. You can't eat processed foods or sweets ever again in your life. No, I'm not saying that. But you can do a better job of making sure you don't eat it as often. You use it as a treat, because there is mental clarity in that as well. So you can make progress in that. But when choosing foods, make sure you can keep it up. Just can be a lifestyle. But you really evaluate all the things you're putting in your body, because what you're putting in your body is probably the root cause of your illness. Number 4 is going to be stress, and I think this is actually one of the most important ones besides fluids. When you focus on stress, you cut out a lot of the things that make you get worse in your illness, right? A lot of these illnesses like diabetes are hormone-based illnesses, right? So when you have excess stress, you're actually storing cortisol. Cortisol helps you store more fat. It decreases your energy. It helps you lose muscle. It does all of these negative things to your body, right? And we know when that starts to happen, your diabetes goes out of control. Your blood pressure goes out of control. You don't have as much muscle to pump the blood through your body. The circulation issue starts happening. Now you have toxic exchanges, and now you start having kidney and liver and all these different bodily functions like change. You start having more acidity in your body. You start having, you know, a lot more oxidation. Like, it's just crazy. If you relieve some of the stress, you will actually make a lot more progress. A lot of you are actually exercising and eating healthier and not realizing, like, I'm not experiencing any type of changes in my health. Why is that? The most likely reason is because you are very stressed and your body can't actually repair itself. When you start relieving some of the stress that you are facing, your body will actually have more energy and more ability, aptitude to change and actually use the nutrients, use the exercise you're doing to change your body. Lastly, education. This ties back into responsibility. Start educating yourself on your illness. Start educating yourself on different exercises, different foods, and how you can better your own health. So exercise yourself on general health and fitness, but then exercise specifically, or not exercise, education specifically for your illness. This is why I carry a whole bunch of books back here, right? For instance, I have this book on drugs, right? So it helps, you know, Consumer's Guide to Drugs. If you have a book like this, it might be a little bit expensive. This might be like $100, but you're able, if you get prescribed a new medication, you can see, okay, what is this medication for? Is there any alternative to this, right? How is this going to work with, oh, I can't, with this, I can't, oh, this is the side effects. They didn't tell me about this. I didn't see this in the little notes, you know, those things I have to do like this to read on the bottle, right? I didn't see that, right? So I can just look at this book. You get education like this. You join courses that talk about, you know, different eating habits, you know, how to cure diabetes, right? Things like that, right? You start learning, even if it's not 100% factual, you start learning and start really changing your trajectory, right? So do something like that. Education is key for a lot of these things. The more educated you are, the more likely you are to help reverse, halt, or even cure some of the illnesses you are facing. All right, so this is all I have for today. Sorry, this is a little bit long, but this is how you maximize your potential, even through health issues and diseases and ailments that you are facing. And this is ultimately how you live a healthier life when you're facing these type of challenges and these type of thorns. Hopefully this makes sense. Once again, I am a certified exercise physiologist. This means I'm more than just a personal trainer or fitness coach. I am certified to help people in cardiac rehab environment in a medical and clinical setting, right? This means I've studied out human physiology when it relates to the cardiovascular system, when it relates to the heart or the lungs. I've studied, you know, disease management. I've studied all of that in relation to exercise and eating better and all of that, right? So if you're interested, if you need a little bit more help, I have helped people. Reach out to me, comment below in the video, send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and I'm going to be glad to help you out. Hopefully this makes a lot of sense. Hopefully this is encouragement. But the first step is going to be taking responsibility, starting up the education, and then working on your stress, right? Working on your stress. Once you're done, you can do that in education at the same time, and then start changing your food and your water, and you start making a lot more progress. And not all water is the same, by the way. Some water actually is detrimental to your health. You do not want to drink it. Just look at essential water. Essential water has baking soda in it, right? Sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda. Read the back of baking soda. So you think you're buying this fancy water, and the back of baking soda says do not ingest for longer than 2 weeks, and you're drinking essential water for your entire life. That does not make any sense, right? So start reading your products, start reading, you know, the foods, and doing the education on water, on your stress, on exercises to do, on your doctors, on who to see, who not to see, what to do, what not to do. Hopefully this makes sense to you guys around, and let me know in the comments what you think.